Good morning and welcome to day I lost count. It's a lot of days. It's a late start. Again, we had issues with the trailer coming apart. These roads aren't built for your regular vehicles. So we had to weld for the second time on this trip just to keep things together. Now we are just touching up enough gas to take us through this little adventure section we're doing now. It's a bit of a treat. The owner of this farm, which is a 45,000 hectare Kalahari farm, I said, "Oh, we want to go to a pan," and they go, "Why? We've got our own pans. We've got a nicer one." So we're riding an immense pan on their farm today. I can't wait for that. And they're going to take us through some red dunes. I'm not sure if I'm excited about that. And obviously we're riding through some lovely game areas on the way there and on the way back. Also opportunity to get stuck knee-deep in red Kalahari dunes. That's just the starters, the hors d'oeuvres. And then this afternoon, hopefully, we'll get to Upington, which is 40 kilometers away. The nice thing is it's going to be a local nice experience riding and then stopping at a bar with a pool and lunch at a lodge nearby. I mean, you've ridden some soft sand extensively before, ne?
Many years ago.
Yes, but you're a very, very old man, so that's understandable.
Yeah, it's good.
I noticed yesterday your boys tried to catch you. They tried. You said up, but you said oh up.
Yeah, it was a good experience that we had at the Orange River.
Yeah,
a lot of sand.
A lot of sand.
But it's all a different sand this time, eh?
This is different. This is softer, red, and thicker.
Yeah.
So I think 10 liters should be fine.
That should do the thing. 10 liters. Yeah, that's a lot. It's 120.
Well, let's hope. But I'm just going to go fill up quickly.
Lekker, yeah.
Luckily we stopped now at the plaza. First of all I saw the Ford F250. Then this baby was lurking just to the left of her. I think it's going to be fun on four wheels in the dunes. It's going to be lekker. Let's go klap it.
Waar is jou helmet aan? Vera?
The morning's ride started off with a nice little warm-up stretch from the field camp where we spent the night towards the Kalahari farmstead. We met up with Rita, the owner of the farm, and a shining example of the strong woman of the Kalahari.
En dan staan so 'n racing baan soos julle wil speel. Julle wil speel.
Dis 'n helse treat. Baie dankie.
After a quick chain tension adjustment on Fani's machine, we head out following Rita in the 4x4 to a lookout spot on one of the big dunes nearby. Straight off the bat, we found ourselves in hot, baking soft sand. When riding soft sand, it's best to keep the pace high. But you're bound to lose momentum somewhere along the way, resulting in the inevitable sand castle digging session. And, obviously, we couldn't resist chasing up the odd dune in proper Don Quixote style. Atop the lookout, we had a lovely chat with Rita about the farm, their precious water, and the pan. Before we get back into the saddle and dig our way through the sand in the direction of an enormous salt pan, just behind a small group of dunes. Crossing the couple of dunes on the knee-deep sandy track turned out to be a bit more of a challenge than we expected. With most of the group heading over the last couple of dunes, I realized that I forgot Fani still bringing up the rear. He eventually turned up with such gusto that he overshot the gate, leading to a rather exhausting midday manual U-turn. Mad dogs and Englishmen, they say. Well, evidently mad bikers as well. By the time we extracted the monstrous machine, Fani was so exhausted that he decided to swap Altus for his borrowed quad bike. Clever move. Sneaky, but clever. This of course means that Altus was now riding his fourth bike for this trip.
Altus bra, I love your commitment in the bush. Bra, ne? When in doubt, go straight. A fourth bike, bro. I'm like licorice all sorts.
So wat Tannie nou sê is as ons op hierdie water lê dan dryf
Dan
jy.
dryf jy, ja.
Was dit die
Jy kan
dryfwater
kyk,
nou?
daar kan jy sien hoe dik is die soutgehalte.
Sout dryf bo op die water. Dan moet jy weet hoe dik is die water.
Ja.
Kan iemand dryf?
Nee.
After our tour of the salt mine, Rita heads back home and directs us onto a side road skirting the pan, to the opposite side, where a measured out half-mile was calling our name. Gentlemen, start your engines!
Ek het nou nog niemand geduis nie. Wie moet ek nou duis? Stuur vir my iemand.
Niemand het.
How pretty was that? So, we're finished at the beautiful Loch Maria. We fell through the dunes, nee, Fanny? Huh? We fell in the dunes. Fanny's shoulder is a bit tweaked. He's a sports model. It'll work by half an hour's time. It'll be fine. We played and we diced and we could not catch that 890 rally. So now we're heading off to the Kalahari Lodge that has a bar and a pool and lunch. Spanning zeilen, kapitein. Wat is die woorde? Ja, ja. Gaan.
Ja, jy het ook.
Gooi je suiker, gooi je suiker oor my stywer vas. Wat is die woorde? Gooi jou suiker oor my. Lekker lippe af. Hou my stywer vas. Voel ek weer in my. Hou jou suiker in my.
But first, we head back to the farmstead to thank Rita for her hospitality.
Dis pragtig. Ons kom weer. Dankie. Wat span 31 km tot by Kalahari Lodge.
To our next stop for lunch and a dip.
Ja, mense en
Dis mense. Hulle soek mense. Gemsbok cordon bleu. The kind of a meal that a man would eat, as opposed to a burger with a chicken on it. This is the Kalahari. There's no chicken here. It's gemsbok. I say keep it local, keep it manly, keep it strong.
Did some dicing. That was amazing. We're sitting at the Kalahari Lodge having some lunch before we heading out to apparently one of the toughest roads in terms of tire killers in this country. Hopefully we don't get any flats.
At our fuel stop in Askam, Varies gets recognized.
Hou vas aan hom, met alles wat jy het, hou vas. 1, 2, 3. Lekker, daar.
No one asked for my photograph.
Dis 'n ster, bro.
Well, I suppose that's the difference between being famous and infamous. Now for the gnarly 150-kilometer gravel track towards van Zylsrus.
Got a plan. Heavy duty tube with the standard tube inside. Duct taped on the sides and tied down. Hey, just be positive for half a second. Half a second! Hey! Hey!
Stuff out there. But I do it because I love it.
You don't love us. But you, on the other hand,
It's a tough, grinding stretch of road in the late afternoon, especially after a big meal, but we stay cheerful and nail it as fast as we can, eventually arriving dusty and tired.
Okay, so here we are at the Van Zylsrus Hotel. What a quaint, lovely little place. I don't want to mention it too much to the crew, but today was a day where everybody really pulled amps. Emotions are low, energies are low. I think people are getting a little tired now, and the hours are getting a lot. Everybody just adventuring the hell out of it, but it starts taking a toll. So tonight is debrief night. We have to let go some of the frustration, the tension, because tension builds. You like this constantly. Tonight, I'm gonna let everybody just has to party. It's gonna be a big makiti. Throw the kitchen sink at it. Let's hope that works, because tomorrow is our last stretch, last day of the Kalahari Kruuuz. So let's end tonight off in style.
That's tranquil. The road today wasn't tranquil. Luckily we didn't lose any tires, which is a good thing. No one fell. There were certain sections that you could just enjoy the pure thrill of riding, and then there were sections just holding on. So I decided I should give my bike a name. And my bike is now dubbed Tango. As you're riding and you're hitting the deep sand, you start doing this. And I need a beer because it's been hot and it's been heavy and I'm ready.
Ladies and gentlemen, fines meeting to commence. Altesteerd to preside, and his lovely topless assistant Pierre Breitenbach.
It's one of those things when you perform, you're gonna get punished. If you don't perform, you're gonna get punished. Let's start off with Pierre for putting this spectacular tour together.
I'm your topless assistant.
I'll assist
The hell did we buy?
for putting this together.
Okay, go. Fine. Oh, it's nice.
On day 1 for Fani.
6 falls in a row. How funny.
Yeah. Ons kom op weer, papa.
Pierre, for telling us not to bring any warm clothes.
Yeah, it was hot. You didn't need warm clothes or a tent.
To all the storm.
Disobeying all my instructions, bringing doubles. In fact, you had spare tents. France for being quiet, for being too solid.
Being too solid.
So funny. Again, number 2. The first group without a puncture.
Cheers. And then to Altus for not completing the trip.
Oh yeah! For riding 4 different kinds of bike. His own 790, another 790, BMW through a bush, Fani, and a quad. Voltmeters, you name it. He had. And then another one for Fani. For going through the bush. You like the bush too much. That is.
Interrupting the flight.
Or interrupting the fine meeting. I'll say, like the only rider that did not ride his bike, even though it didn't have any mechanical issues. And then for the guy who thinks that he does not snore. Okay, sing it off. You can sing it off.
For not drinking.
No, hurting his own foot. Passionate tire. Kicking for.
Thank you very much, but I still want to give Louis another one for having the only bump jump.
Louis! Oh, yes.
And another one for going ooh.
The fact that you look like a mosquito with your sunglasses on.
He seemed to be safe.
Thank you very much. So that concludes the fines meeting.
The party raged on into the early morning hours, and we all knew it was the last big night on tour. Today, we turn back home.
We actually drank ourselves into some shots. We had lots of impressive shit.
Dan kun jy hom weer overhaal. Jy vier kilos vet.
We're off to see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz. We have a slight alcohol-induced headache and drowsiness and laziness this morning. That's life. Off we go. Bob Sharkle. The dunes, there it is.
So basically you're saying the dunes, we're going over dunes?
As if I have energy for that today. Okay. That's it. Off we go.
Our last day would take us through almost 300 kilometers of soft Kalahari sand. We were definitely not making it easy for ourselves.
Okay, so we're on the gravel road, and according to the local, just gave us directions. It's not too intricate, it's not too hectic. It says a kilometer out of town, you turn left, and then there's a fork in the road, and then you keep right. Then at the T junction again left, then you go across a pan, and then there's a house on a ridge, and after the house you turn right, and at the T junction left again. And then you end up 40 kilometers out of town.
I'm glad you remember that because I heard there's left, I heard there's right.
The open Kalahari roads make for great riding, leading to some very stupid choices. We made regular stops to stretch our legs before heading back out again, dancing our way over the dunes.
Pretty sight. Lots of loose, powdery sand, gentlemen. Lots on the snow. Lots.
Crazy, beautiful world.
Hierdie gaan vir julle seerder maak as vir my.
Maar jy het gesê nie die helfte.
Ja, die agterste helfte.
Wat van my linkerlong?
En hy rol.
After a couple of wrong turns, we reached the last section of dunes for this trip. This is the type of iconic riding you think of when you talk about the Kalahari. And here, on our last day, we were really enjoying it. After almost 2 weeks of sandy torture, we all got to a point where this felt like heaven.
Oh, yes, well, riding treacherous dunes with variations of hardpack and soft sand is the last place you want to be daydreaming. Look at my elbow. My beautiful shirt. I'm gonna have to buy another one for the next trip. I just leaned into the corner. I realized, bro, you're on the wrong side. Stop daydreaming. And zip zip, out it went from under me. Never daydream when riding the Kalahari.
Riding on the last section of the last day of the trip, your mind starts wandering in your helmet. And you realize that you've learned things on this trip. Like, for instance, that the GS F850 Rally is actually more capable of doing the rough stuff than you thought. And friends, well, friendships are gold.
Mike Tango. Ging alweer amper aan die slaapkraakpad hier.
Full circle, back at Zylsrus, where it all started a mere 2 weeks ago.
So Fani, what did you think about the trip?
You don't have time to think, bro. If you think, you die.
There's no way I can get all my stuff back into my bag. I think there's a lot of Kalahari dust coming along as well. Half of it is clothes and half of it is Kalahari dust. So for 2 weeks, this was my life, including my bedding and all my clothes and shoes. I can't get my ballistic back in, but only my wife can do that. Little fingers, little hands. I can't. I go. Today is the roundup of a very, very eventful tour. It's sure, it's almost emotional. A lot of guys came together out of nowhere and everyone gelled, you know? Lots of mechanicals, yes. Altus's bike did end up being towed. I mean, if you think there's 12 bikes involved, that's nothing. Every single day you were riding, you're thinking, the sandy patch, someone's gonna come off. And no one came off. Well, everyone eventually came off, but no one got seriously hurt. To this morning, we're all in our heads packing, trying to get things home the way you brought them. It's impossible. There's an emptiness, eh? For 2 weeks, this was your life. Today, it's finished.
Right, so yeah, if you look this side, this is also part of my journey. There's old OJ's back. Went to pick up yesterday and this happened on the way there. Obviously a lot of mixed feelings, yeah, more frustration, but the bit I did was spectacular. I'll definitely come back. And even the last part that I was in the backup was amazing.
And I actually reached the end of our journey. It's been interesting. You do a lot of soul searching on a trip like this. There was a lot of excitement, but there was also a lot of, let's call it anxiety and fear, because at any given moment, anything can happen. You constantly feel that I'm gonna fall now and I'm gonna break my whole body. But here we are at the end of this trip. It was beautiful, something that I will forever hold dear to my heart. It's been good. Now we need to go home.
Why did you guys join your dad on this trip? You could have done lots of more interesting things like chase girls and make money.
Well, definitely for the experience. And to see new places, definitely, I think with the bikes, it's a different experience to doing it in a car.
I think a week in the Northern Cape with your dad and your brother would be better. And also, I mean, being on your bike in your helmet for a week, it's a nice mental test. The helmet time was good. It was nice to have a bit of alone time.
You're being not trying to throw up. It was
Staying alive.
Yeah, just staying alive.
Did the old man take you to places as a child?
Yeah, we were usually a few kilometers behind him, but
But you're used to traveling.
We like traveling and we like to see new places.
I would put it in a way that we almost traveled more for experiences than like for rally.
Did you see elements and sides from the boys that you were surprised by? Maybe did they match your expectations?
I think they did a lot better than I expected.
Got that on camera.
I was concerned. Initially, I thought it's a big step up from off-road bike, which I did a lot of, to a rally bike, and it's a new bike. There's a lot of things I was concerned about.
Your first bush
not
Why did you bring them along?
Since I was a young boy, I've been riding motorbikes, been a lot of places on bikes. Never had the opportunity to actually share that with my dad, because he passed away when I was 5 years old or something like that. To me, that makes it very special. And we've done a few off-road trips, never an adventure like this. This was something special, something that I'll always remember and cherish. And bucket list.
How fitting to end our adventure here, at the same spot where we started, on the banks of the majestic Orange River. We followed it downstream for a couple of days and then headed out into the open plains, only to once again meet up with its constant flow, carrying life through the most arid of places. Timeless, ever present. It gives you a new perspective on our place in time, our little fleeting opportunity to share our lives with those we care for, to live life to the full. It was a privilege having all of you riding along with us on this epic Kalahari Kruuuz special. Stay tuned. Our next special, the Cape Venture with Suzuki, is coming soon.
And so it ends. We're ready to go, leaving Oranjeris for the 9-hour drive back home. I think the worst thing about this is that I have to sit next to Fani. But hey, life stuff, grow a pair. The sign of civilization. Oranje stokje. Okay, so that's it. We're back in the city, back home. How many k's, Fritz?
4,105.
4,105 kilometers of Kalahari. It's pretty exhausting. Big city lights. We're back home. And we're safe and no one's hurt. It's a big thing. What an adventure.